Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. 2011 BMW X5. This particular X Finco has a N63 4.4 liter twin snail engine. We're going to be doing a thermostat on this bad boy. So, thermostat, bunch of fluids. But before we do all that and change the coolant, transfer case fluid, transmission fluid, engine oil, yada yada yada, we're gonna drain the coolant out of this thing and we're gonna get prepared to change the thermostat. So after we drain our coolant, which we're gonna show you first, we are gonna remove this little mini reservoir. So let's get it back up in the air and let's get that coolant drained, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, we missed a step, so before we pull our mini reservoir out, we are going to go ahead and remove the radiator fan. So if you watch some of my other videos, this setup is the same on all these E70s. I have a couple videos on the M57 when we were doing the DPF and EGR deletes where we remove the fan. So it's got two little push tabs, if you can see, kind of right to the left of that connector and below the temperature sensor there's a tab that you're going to push down on. So there's a similar tab on the other side. You can kind of see that the wing, which is in the center of the screen right now, there's a wing there that folds towards the middle of the vehicle. So once you release that tab, you can fold that flap towards the middle of the vehicle, allowing you to clear the upper rad hose there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out, and then I'll give you a better look of those tabs and how it's removed. But it's a fairly easy fan to remove. Obviously you need to undo your giant connector here and then just pull it out through the top. You got a hose that's kind of clipped in. Take that and just unclip it through the little brackets there, or little holders I should say. Okay, fans out. Show you guys what I was talking about here. So, if you take a look down here, sorry for the poor lighting, you can see there's a little notch the fan clicks into. You got to push that notch right above it and that releases it. So on this side it's a little bit easier to see right there. So you're going to push that top part. Try and get my camera to stay here for a sec. So you would go and push this little guy here. Show you with my tool a little better. Right there. Okay, once you got some of the coolant drained out of this thing, we're just putting all brand new coolant in. Obviously I never reuse coolant, so I'll show you what I'm using. That's the stuff I generally use right there. So we're going to undo some of our hoses for our charge coolers, such as here. We're going to undo this little guy. We've got another one right here, and then another one below, and then we're going to remove our couple nuts here, and then we'll be able to remove the small expansion tank, and that should give us a lot more room for the thermostat that we're going to be changing. So let me get those hoses off and we'll get to taking this guy off. Okay guys, so now that we got the mini reservoir off, got a lot more access to this lower area where we're going to be working. So we're going to unbox our new thermostat and see how much further we're going to have to go. We're going to have to remove that hose there for sure. Looks like there's a temperature sensor, a couple e-torques. It's our new one, aluminum housing. It's a Borg-Warner unit. Part number on this bad boy, 4508101D, or A28788 53898. Made in Germany, quality piece. Now we are going to... Comes with a temperature sensor as well, if you didn't see there. Boom. So we got a hose down there, lower rad hose to remove. Like I said, we got this hose to remove right here. Not a big deal. Then there's a couple E-Torx bolts that hold that on. And we should be rocking and rolling. Alright, so you're going to need to separate that lower hose from the thermostat housing. And you can kind of swing it out of the way. What I did was take these two screws out up here that holds this little auxiliary water pump on, and you've got enough slack in the rest of the hoses to leave it all attached. So that gives you access to that. We're going to go ahead and unplug the temperature sensor right there. Just push on the tab and pull up, and then we're going to be able to work on getting those 3 E-Torx screws out. Then we should be able to remove that assembly. We'll clean that whole area up. This thing is covered in leaks. Every single orifice is leaking on this thing, I believe. So you just gotta love that. But yeah. Okay guys, so those thermostat housing bolts are E8s. I do suggest you guys get yourself, I got a nice 1/4 inch snap-on flex head. Really helps for, so if you look at the thermostat like this is basically how it sits in the car. When you're doing this bottom bolt here, I'd like to use the extension and the flex head kind of like this. Really helps you get access there. These other two are not too bad. Don't really need the extension. Just the flex head ratchet goes a long way. So as you can see now, that's what it looks like in the hole with the thermostat gone. Pretty gross looking coolant in that hose. We're going to flush this whole thing out, clean up that mating surface, and get our new thermostat sitting in there. We're going to get the screws and the bolts tightened up, clip the hose on, plug the temperature sensor in, and we'll start reassembling this thing. So I like to use a little red Scotch pad to clean the engine side of the mating surface for that thermostat. Nothing too crazy, don't leave any crazy grooves in it. You can kind of feel it with your hand before and after, make sure it's nice and smooth. And now we're going to move on to putting in our BorgWarner thermostat. Okay guys, so now that we got our mini reservoir back in, lines plugged up, clips put on properly, lines routed properly. We're going to keep this hose off actually that goes to this charge cooler on the driver's side, the furthest one. We're just going to tilt that hose up in order to help make our fan install a little bit easier, as there's a lot going on here. So we'll drop our fan in. Once our fan is in, we're going to clip this up on the little holders on the fan and then clip it back into the charge cooler. We'll show you guys how to bleed this thing before we get too far. And yeah, let's drop that fan back in. Alright guys, so the car is back together. Different from different E70s that we've worked on with 6 cylinders, either the diesel or N55 cars. The N63 does not have a electronic water pump, so it has a traditional mechanical engine driven water pump. So there is no bleed procedure as on the other E70s where you hold the gas pedal down for 10 seconds and it activates that electronic water pump for 12 minutes. So we're just going to do this the old-fashioned way. We're going to let it run while having the larger coolant expansion tank cap off and monitoring the level. We'll set our heat settings on the dash to the maximum temperature and have our fan running full speed just so we can get some circulation through the heater core, and we'll see how that works out for us. Looks like we're getting some heat in the cab. Making some progress.